dormant in the winter need to be handled differently than tropical plants when getting them ready for your garden. And joining us now to tell us more is Master Gardener Ed Sordiff, and he's going to tell us everything that we need to know about dormant plants. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, good to be here, Seth.
First, let's go over what really a dormant plant is and how it differs from other plants.
Well, last year when winter approached, we had a bunch of plants outside. We could either bring them in the house or in the greenhouse, but some plants just go dormant. I mean, they'll just go to ground, and you can store them over the winter, say in your basement, a nice area that's 45 degrees or above, but not very hot. And then that's basically what we did with these.
And those are different from annuals, and those are plants that will die over the winter but then kind of reborn, is that correct?
No, annuals actually mean they only last 1 year.
Was I thinking perennials?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So an annual will grow for the year, produce its seed, seed its seeds, and then they'll come up next year. Perennials will come back every year. They're perennial. Biennials are basically a plant that grows 1 year, it'll die back, it'll come back the next year, and then it will have its flowers. These plants are, sometimes they call them tender perennials. Basically we have like dahlias right here, which have a tuber, which is a storage mechanism. We have also begonias here, there, and here, which also have tubers, which will store them over the winter. And then we have a canna up here that also, this has a rhizome, a modified stem underground. That's where that stores its self for the winter. And then on the far side, this thing that just looks like sticks, we had brought in last year the Brugmansia, and this has gone dormant, so all the leaves fall off, and you can see it's just starting to sprout out up there, and it'll get very full, and that'll get those 10-inch flowers on it that are great smelling. So everything has a different way of going through the winter, and you can just put them away and then forget about them. They start sprouting up like this, and then you take them back out, and then you're ready to go outside.
So when it comes to care, what do we need to know about these plants?
Okay, well, when we put them away for the winter, like we did last winter, we actually cleaned off the plants. These were the dahlias that I had out in the garden beds. So what I did was I let the frost kill them back to the ground. I cleaned them up, I washed off the tubers, and then I put them in a little tray here of soil. And I kept it slightly moist all winter, not to dry out, just slightly moist.
Now, temperature-wise, roughly, what do you want to hold them at?
45 or above, not very warm. You just want to keep it cool.
So it's a basement.
Yeah, it's a basement, not a garage. A garage would they would freeze. So then what happened here with these dahlias, they started coming back. Sometimes I keep dahlias actually in the pots and leave them for a terrace plant. And so here's a pot that this one just stayed in all year long. Usually, like we talked about before, I'll put these pots in a pretty ceramic pot, so you just take this out and you can just move it for storage, and then you don't have to deal with a heavy pot. Now here, when they start coming back like this, a good thing to do is to cut them back. So if you want, I had already done this earlier, and I can actually show.
Now, it always seems counterintuitive to me. Recently, I cut my mother's rose bushes. Why do you cut down a plant just so that you can let it grow up again?
Well, you cut it down so it will actually sprout more stems. So right here, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but see right in between this stem here?
Oh, you can see a baby stem.
Yeah, there's a little stem starting from the corner, and you can see that actually better up here. There's stems that are coming out from where I had cut that earlier. So you'll want to do the same thing here. So you can actually find a stem and cut this like down to where these two little leaf are coming out.
So this one you want to cut all the way down here?
Yeah, leaving those two leaves.
So,
and then all of a sudden it will start spreading more stems from right there.
Now, does it make it so it's easier for the plant to help grow the two shoots coming out?
Yes, because now you got rid of the top here, so now it's going to have to try to redirect the energy, and then you get the more stems, more flowers. That's why you get a nice thick plant like that.
So you'd rather have it thick than tall?
Yeah, just a tall plant with a few stems and just one flower bud on the top is not going to look very good for you. So also what you can do at this time of year, now you can see I actually had put these into this tray here. These are the tubers. You can see the tubers are actually coming out of the ground because they're actually pushing themselves out of the ground because they're growing. This is a time of year you can actually divide things like your dahlias. So all you would do is basically, say we're going to put this back in the ground. I will actually just loosen this up. And now this is a really big dahlia tuber here.
It seems like it's rooted itself pretty well.
Yeah, it's all this soil here is because it's rooted. So you can see it's like potatoes in there basically. You can see them all
And is each one of those a new plant, more or less?
Yeah, what you would do for a dahlia, which is in particular, you can split it. I don't know if we
As if it's because it looks like a piece of ginger. I don't know if you can see that, but it looks like a piece of ginger.
Yeah, each one's like a ginger root. But the important thing about this is when you take a tuber like this and you're going to divide it up to make another dahlia, you have to make sure you have a piece of this old stem. If you don't have a piece of this stem, the tuber won't do anything.
It won't have anywhere to go.
Yeah, because the eyes are right at the base of the stem. So you would take something like a large knife, you would split that, ensuring that a piece of the stem is there. You can actually see it when they start growing, where they come out of the base of the stem of the tuber here. So that's an easy way to know when to divide them. Then you could either pot it up in a pot or you could put it right in the garden. Some other things that we have are the begonias. We actually, a few weeks ago, planted brand new begonias.
And now they're coming up all right?
Well, they came up at home, but these are the ones I stored from last year. So here's a big old tubers in the bottom here, and now they're just starting to come out. This one I probably watered a little bit earlier. It's doing the same thing. I don't pinch these back. These will actually branch out on their own. What I do is what you see here. I always put a little pot inside a big pot because it looks better, and then it's easier to store this for the winter.
Well, Ed, unfortunately we're out of time, but thank you so much for these tips. It's a pleasure having you here.
Okay,
and for more information, you can always visit us online, mymassappeal.com later today.